What was your favorite memory as a child?
My favorite memories would probably be at Christmas time whenever I was a kid. Uh, I'll never forget my dad. He he had an extra Christmas present for me because the other ones I was the baby, and and he pulled out a little car. It's a little car about that long, and I played with that. I don't know. I played with it. I guess till it fell apart, but that's just one of the things. And we always had plenty as far as Christmas presents and enjoying Christmas. And I remember my mother. She would sit around the fireplace and read Bible stories to us. About Christmas and what was the real meaning of Christmas. So I guess it was a great life. I enjoyed it. I would like to brought my kids up in the same atmosphere that I was brought up in, and that's what I tried to do with my kids, so that they wouldn't forget what Christmas was about. It's all about Christ,
Right.
and without Him, we would be nothing. And I've carried.
Have people changed any? Like how people act around other people?
There was more respect. I think whenever I grew up, I was taught to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and I never did call an older person. I never did call them by the first name, and I call that respect, because nowadays it don't seem like it seems like everything has changed that way. Kids might just holler out any name or what. It just doesn't seem like there's much respect. Not all of them. There's still a few around that it's got respect. But
What invention has come up in your lifetime that you think is very important that benefits today's society?
I remember when there wasn't that many cars around, and I remember my granddad telling me one time he was born back in the 1880s, and he would tell me about the first car that he seen come into Greenville. He said people got around behind the buildings, act like they was scared of the car. Horses was getting out of control, and I can imagine what he's like back in his day. But things have changed here, and I think it's probably for the better. But it's what we do with it.
So you mentioned your grandfather saying he saw the first car come into Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember anything else of your grandparents' lives that they told you?
Yeah. Me and my granddad were real close. I love to hear him tell different stories on things that happened. For one, he had a little finger that was cut off. The end of it, I didn't have no fingernail on it. And I asked him, I said, Granddad, I said, what happened to your finger? And he said, I was about 4 years old, and he said I was down in the floor playing, and he said I had this little round metal cup, and he said it had sharp edges around it, and he said I was dragging myself. He said I'd take one hand and I'd take the other hand and just pulling myself across the floor, and he said I hit the end of that finger and cut that nail off. And just little things like that. I thought it was odd. Things probably he was playing with.
How did you meet Helen Bivins, my grandmother, and your wife?
Well, her brother was good friends. I met him, through the neighbor, a friend, and I always told people that I was squirrel hunting and happened to run up on this house out in the middle of nowhere, and I seen this little girl running around in the yard. But that wasn't what it really was. But I always like to tell that about her anyway. But anyway, I met her through her brother, and I guess you could say that was, or I could say that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I met a good woman.
What does family mean to you?
Family means everything. That's one thing you don't want to mess with as a family. Always get along, always talk, and that way you'll never regret it. Whenever you get older, and that's something you'll always take with you down through life. It's what your family's about. Without your family, well, always stick with your family, and it makes life better for you. I love you too, buddy.